Who needs a lesson in Titan slaying when you can see the Beyblade of the Attack on Titan universe in action? Yes, I'm speaking of none other than Levi Ackerman, the shortest man in Paradise who has a strange fetish of slicing things up while looking cool. With Season 4 coming to a close, it's time to see 10 of the best Levi Ackerman moments in Attack on Titan. But before I continue, I'd like to mention that I've teamed up with Prime Video UK to talk about some of the best anime series that are currently included on the Prime Video platform to kickstart your journey with this magical medium. You can catch it on Prime Video UK's YouTube channel or click on the link at the end of this video. Taking our 10th spot is Levi's introduction in Season 1. Now, we all know how much character introductions matter in anime, especially in a series like Attack on Titan. Let's admit it, Season 1 was like the Game of Thrones of anime. You've got new character faces popping up here and there, and then all of them being killed off just like that. So how do you make an excellent first impression? By showing you stand at the top of the hierarchy in terms of power. Undoubtedly, one can guess a character stands at the top of the hierarchy when he takes down 3 Titans without even breaking a sweat. Not to mention, he does this in the coolest way possible. Levi Ackerman has this silent charisma that makes your eyes get glued to his character. It's that badass attitude complemented by his silent and deadly demeanor that makes his presence more visible compared to other characters. Let's not also forget this was the introduction of humanity's strongest soldier, so it sure had to be impactful. Coming up next is Levi's final fight with Kenny. Now, I've mentioned this before, and I'm repeating it again. Levi was the main character in Season 3. Yep, ignore all that character development of Eren and Historia, because this season shined the spotlight on Levi's past and his greatest rival. We all know how cool those student-mentor fights are, but the best way to make it more interesting is to add guns, and then to add Levi. Kenny the Ripper versus humanity's strongest soldier. What are the odds? Kenny may have the upper hand, mainly due to his skill with guns, but Levi decides to be tactful here. Using the explosion as a distraction, he directly slashes his mentor from his sword, and the Ripper has to go running back to the caves with a ripped shirt. Not Kenny's best day, but then again, that man never had any good days. Number 8, we have Levi meeting Erwin. How did you meet your best friend? On your way to class? Or perhaps knowing you had similar interests in something? Either way, I'm sure you didn't get to know each other after a frantic chase inside a city and a fight with blades. Levi's and Erwin's first meetup is a rather special one. One of them was manipulating the other person, and the other person, being the smart guy he is, knew he was being manipulated and acted along. Erwin was the hyped up and callous commander back in the day, and Levi was like the street thug who looked cool but laid back unless someone called him for a fight. Levi's goal here was to somehow get into the military, and Erwin planned to find the people who stole the maneuvering equipment. After some air aerobics and a nice and short fight scene, the two destined friends finally meet, and who would have thought that one of them would encourage the other to give up his dreams and die?
その通りだが、ここにエルヴィンが現れた以上、エルヴィンに使う。
Speaking of friendship, next up we have the moment where Levi had to choose between Erwin and Armin. Up until then, Levi didn't have any challenging moments, because when you're the most overpowered character in the entire show, you can always squeeze your way out of fights by slashing and killing a couple of people, or Titans in this case. But now we have friends in the equation, one squad mate and one commander. Who would you choose? Okay, let's shed some light and see it in the eyes of Levi. Your best friend or a random stranger who worked with you for less than a year. Levi almost chooses the former, but Levi has to think twice when Erwin himself throws the serum away. Should he bring Erwin back into this nightmare again? Erwin was a slave to freedom, so should Levi put back the shackles his commander undid? It's a tough spot where you need to choose between your selfish feelings and the feelings of others, but in the end, what matters is that it was Levi's choice, and he decided not to bring Erwin into the cruel world again.
なんだ、髪切れねえ。今のこいつか。まさか
Next up, we have another one of Levi's entrances, and that's his entrance in Season 4. Honestly, this man really knows how to make entrances. If Eren didn't make such a grand entrance in Liberio, Levi would be dominating all of the badass Attack on Titan entrances lists. And can we take a moment to appreciate how he appears when things have turned upside down? While the other members are busy fighting, Levi's chilling somewhere, waiting for his turn in the spotlight, and then when things turn sour, that's when he thinks, okay, it's time to remind these people why I'm humanity's strongest soldier. Porco was an airhead who always abided by the being a Titan means being strong rule, and who's the best person to shatter his perspective? Levi. Zeke learned his lesson in Season 3, and Porco learned his lesson in Season 4. When an Ackerman's around, always check your surroundings, because you never know from where they're gonna hit you. Coming in at number 5 is Levi's fight with the female Titan. One massive female going around stomping soldiers and throwing them to the air. That's the female Titan arc summed up in just one sentence. After seeing people slaying Titans for one whole arc and then knowing our main character's a Titan himself, that can make the concept of man versus Titan very boring. But don't fret, Marley has got some tricks under their sleeve. Or is it Isayama being a genius again? Either way, this new Titan is more agile, dangerous, and slashes Eren's head with the gymnastics better than a professional athlete. Once again, who's there to save the day? Levi. If Levi's good at two things, it's slashing things and rescuing kidnapped people. Levi teaches the female Titan what it's like to mess with an Ackerman and cuts her so hard that it brings her to tears. Okay, I know Annie didn't actually cry because of Levi, but it sure must have given her some trauma.
多分無事だ。生きてる。汚ねえが。
Next up is Levi's famous God mode, aka his rage scene after seeing his friend's death. Now in all of these scenes we've spoken of so far, Levi was still his usual calm and collected self no matter how desperate the situation was. So if that was him being a badass when he was normal and calm, imagine how aggressive he could be if he were in a rage. Turns out, killing Levi's friends isn't the best way to have a peaceful death. After seeing Furion and Isabel's corpses, Levi flies into a mad state of rage and nearly skins the Titan alive. It's bloody, it's gory, it's brutal, but traumatizing all at the same time. With this scene, we were shown why Levi was more cold-hearted and numb when it came to his squad's death. He has seen death before, so it could never shake him again. As for the Titan, if Levi's blades didn't kill it, the trauma surely would have. Coming in at number 3 is Levi and Zeke's fight in the forest. If one small midget-looking man shows up out of thin air and proceeds to slash you apart, that might mean you may not want to mess with him again. But Zeke, having the so-called Jaeger genes, isn't the one to give up. If he can't handle the small guy alone, then it's time for some backup. Luckily, this man can call backup by serving wine and then screaming, so Zeke has an army of Titans to support him within a matter of seconds. But remember, he's fighting a man who's the living personification of numbness and trauma, so just because you turn his comrades into Titans doesn't mean he's going to go soft on them. Once again, the same formula is repeated. Zeke transforms, his Titan is butchered, he gets captured. Seriously, these Jaegers need to learn their lesson. Messing with an Ackerman isn't going to give you a happy ending. Taking our second spot is Levi's first fight with Kenny. Their second round might have ended with ripped skin, but just like Levi, his mentor also knows how to make a grand entrance and kick things to the next level. It's no surprise, he's an Ackerman after all. With his squad to back him up, Kenny corners Levi on the rooftops and then proceeds to chase him across the rooftops. It's not a pretty moment for Levi, but we've got to see one of the best choreographed scenes in recent anime because of this chase. I know Mappa is good, but they can't be Wit Studio in terms of fight choreography. It's like a living person with a camera moved along with Levi and and decided to record his escape in the best possible angles. The fight starts when Levi jumps off a rooftop and ends with him in a bar, and you've got juicy action to fill the entire short trip. Hats off to the animators for pulling off this scene perfectly, and hats off to Levi for escaping so many shooters with only just a scratch on his head. Okay, actually, let me correct the title here. It should be The Famous Massacre of the Beast Titan. It's one of those scenes we like to call a fight simply because there are two parties in it. But if you look at it from a different perspective, it's just Levi finding creative ways to cut down the Beast Titan. Arms, legs, eyes. Levi cuts all of these one by one faster than one cuts their birthday cake. Zeke barely even has time to think or even process what to do because this Devil of Paradise is the living embodiment of speed. Mixing air aerobics with his skill with the blades, Levi gives us one of the best anime action sequences where one man takes down a big giant ape with absolutely no damage at all. Trust me, if Erwin were alive to see this, he'd be grinning from a distance because if Marley's trump card are the Titans, then Paradise's trump card is the one and only Levi Ackerman.